Karma clap.
And welcome back to Gorgeous Pandemonium. That's Charyssa.
And that's Gabrielle. We're super excited that you're here with us for another episode where we dive into the big things, the little things, and all the gorgeous chaos in between.
So grab your favorite drink, get comfy, and let's get into it. This
Boom,
is
boom.
episode 35? 35.
35.
Magic. Okay, so before we hop in, should we word of the wow it?
Wow. Yes, I'll allow it.
Hey, did you come across any words that you really liked that you wanted to use this week? Or are we going from our big words?
Mm. I did not. That would have been. Should have thought about that, but I did not. So let's just see what we got.
That's okay. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 10 left of the cards.
Ooh.
What number would you like?
9. So we have
Top
10
or
left, right?
bottom?
Top. Whatever that means to you.
Okay, so our word of the week, our wow, is catawampus.
Catawampus.
Unexpected and topsy-turvy. Like askew, awry, or just plain wrong.
Okay. Just plain wrong. Love it.
Mm-hmm. Catawampus.
All right. Cool.
Sweet.
Anything, we don't have any announcements, do we? Or anything we need to cover before we hop in?
I don't think so. I think we're good to just go wild.
Go wild. All right. Let's do it. So, today is January 20th. We are, as in the day this is released. This is the week of Martin Luther King Jr. Day. All right, before we begin, we want to name where we're speaking from. We are obviously two white women who have not personally experienced the racial injustices that Dr. King was fighting against, and we don't claim to fully understand that lived experience. We're coming to this conversation as learners and observers, not to speak for anyone, but to study the history honestly, to listen carefully, and to resist the urge to sanitize it. This episode isn't about centering ourselves or our perspectives. It's about engaging Dr. King's work as it was, challenging, disruptive, and often uncomfortable, and recognizing that while this history isn't ours by experience, it is ours by responsibility. Our intention is to honor his legacy by telling the fuller truth, not the convenient version, and to reflect on what his words continue to ask of us all today.
Get it, girl. Yeah. I love that you put that preface in there and remind everyone we are not here as experts. We are here as learners because we still don't know everything. We don't, like you said, we're not privy to that. We don't have that experience,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
nor are we claiming to.
Nope. Not at all. Okay, so starting out, the MLK that is taught, right? What's talked about in school, what's celebrated with this day. We were taught a version of MLK that was safe, sanitized, and stripped of urgency. I'm sure we are all familiar with even just the phrase, the I have a dream speech, right? We may not know the entire speech, but there is part of it that is played and talked about every year at this time. There are selective quotes that are shared. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Judge not by the color of their skin. Very it's there's a lot of emphasis placed on racial harmony, color blindness, and optimism. But we're missing the urgency of the moment, the demands being made, and the political pressure behind the march. We're missing the conditions that he was responding to: police brutality, segregation, voter suppression, and economic exploitation. Um, there is nonviolence framed as calmness and politeness. He is portrayed as gentle, patient, and calm, and nonviolence is often taught as a way to not make waves, protest nicely, and wait for change. What's missing with this is nonviolence is direct action, disruption, civil disobedience, and moral confrontation. Um, this framing has allowed us to celebrate him without being changed by him. We were taught a version of Dr. King that feels more like a motivational poster than a movement leader. Another big quote is, "Peace is not merely the absence of tension." But the rest of that quote that we don't always get is, "Peace is the presence of justice." Um,
Which is
there's
so true. Oh, I'm sorry.
no, go
But
ahead.
that is so true, and so there's such a lack of that in this world right now. And I mean, we all know it. Like, there's no sugarcoating it at this point. Like, you can't turn a blind eye when you see it either on the news or on social media because you're looking at one or the other. Like, you
Mhm.
can't keep turning a blind eye and pretending like it's not happening when it's literally happening. So, okay,
Yeah,
sorry. Go on.
literally. No, you're good. You're good. Literally happening. So, and it's so like, it's so interesting, like reading back or learning on this history, right? And I say history, like, I mean, this is these things, the things that he worked on, that he was fighting on, and was in the past. But it's so sad that like we really haven't come past it. Like it's really not the history. Like you're saying, it's still happening. It's still here. It's still very present, and it's
May I
sad.
make a couple more comments real quick?
Absolutely,
Sorry, I've been so quiet. I've been making myself a cup of hot tea because I am for a reason today. But um,
it's chilly.
I love how you keep saying that our history that we've been taught has been sanitized because it has for sure. And like you are, where you said that Martin Luther King Jr. has been portrayed more as a motivational poster than an actual like change leader or movement leader is so like on the nose and so embarrassing for
100%.
for society that
Mhm.
someone who was so radical and so disruptive is just a mascot now. Like,
Mhm.
that's gross.
Yep.
Not him. He's phenomenal in all of the ways,
100%.
but
The way that it's being, I mean, sanitized. Yeah, I was trying to think of
uh
another word, but yeah, the way that we're not getting so I was going to say the way that we're not getting the whole story and the whole picture. And I say that in regards to like what what is mainly put out there and what is mainly like taught in school, right? But as
absolutely.
adults, we also have the responsibility of like teaching ourselves. Like we shouldn't just take the things that we're taught because like obviously as kids, right? Like it's I mean, kids have so much curiosity and I love that and I like encourage all, not that we have children listeners because we shouldn't, but we encourage all children to like embrace their curiosity and like really, find out things for themselves. But it's because it really is like in school and in controlled environments, like we're not taught everything. We're taught what they want us to be taught and what they want us to see.
Absolutely.
So I, yeah, I mean, a big challenge to all of our listeners is educate yourself. Like we as adults, we as Americans, we as, I don't know, human
Humans.
beings, like we have a responsibility to educate ourselves.
Mhm.
And that also means do your own research. Don't expect people who do know the information or who have experienced things to educate you. Like go and do your own research.
Because you don't know where they actually got their research from, and you also don't know if they are biased either way.
Hmm.
So,
And it's no one's responsibility to educate you but your own.
mhm.
Yes. Um, let me see. Sorry, one second.
You good? I didn't mean to. Uh,
Stop apologizing.
no, I know it's one of those. It's one of those days. Sorry, not sorry.
Stop it.
I'm the worst.
No, honestly, that's what I love about our conversations, though, is like we have an outline, but we go where we go with it, and that's great. I'm just looking
Mhm.
to see because there's, I mean, a lot of important things to cover with this. So I just want to see if I hit the things with this first section. Um, okay, and this is just gonna kind of be all over, and that's okay. Um, so when again, like the things that we're taught, it's very simple things, right? Um, economic justice is rarely covered. The things that he did, the things that he was working on, um, one of those being the Poor People's Campaign. I don't know about you, but I personally had not really heard about that until I started looking into things on my own. And I want to, I am going to spend more time like reading things fully. I didn't get the chance to before this read all the speeches and all the things fully, but I did look through them. And again, like I really challenge everyone to look into these. The Poor People's Campaign specifically is what he was working on right before he was assassinated.
Trigger
And
warning.
yeah, I saw that's why I paused. I was like, I don't know. Trigger warning, thank
Spoiler
you.
alert, he dies.
We should
Like,
all know that. Um, he also opposed the Vietnam War. And we'll kind of get into these a little bit more. And he wrote a letter from Birmingham jail, where he was put in jail because of his peaceful protest movement. And in
mhm.
this letter, um, critiques the white moderate, which we will also get into. These are all really important things for us to know. And again, they're not taught, they are taken out from anything that is generally taught about on this day. He's usually taught as a symbol of harmony, not as a radical critic of injustice. And yeah, we'll move into some of these other things, but it just. So, also, those of you, I guess I challenge those of you that are um, parents and have kids in school, like talk to your kids about these things, right? Talk to your kids about what is being taught in school, right? What are they learning? And like learning things together. Obviously, each of you as parents has your own discretion on, I guess, how you want to share things with your kids and move through those things. But just understanding that at school, like, they're not going to truly be taught everything they should know. They're not going to be taught everything about history. It's our job to help them with it.
And keep in mind, like, what they're teaching I'm sorry, I just keep hopping on in here, and you might
Yep.
be
That's what you're
coming
here
to
for.
talk about this, later on, but, like, you guys we need to remember, like, the version of history that they are teaching kids, especially now, has been this is it's been whitewashed and created and twisted in a way that is palatable, and that is not honest history. Honest history is not palatable. It is disgusting. It is made that way so people can ingest it better and think that we are still superior. I say still. No one is superior to anyone, but you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
that our
To
history really
maintain
isn't
that
that
feeling.
bad. Yeah,
Mhm.
because everyone's feelings matter so
Yeah.
much.
And it's history, and we've overcome it, and things are so great.
And it's not that way anymore.
Mhm.
Lies everywhere. Lies.
All
Sorry.
lies.
Okay.
But
I'll get off my
no, I was just thinking of I don't know what movie it's from. I feel like it's from a kids movie, and someone's like, "You sit on a throne of lies."
It's Elf.
Oh my god, yes, it is. Thank you. When he's calling out Santa. Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
You
You're
smell
not
like
Santa. I know him.
cigarettes. Yes, you sit on a throne of lies. But honestly though, like it's so with saying like we're making it so people can ingest it, that it's so true though. Like if it feels too comfortable, if it feels I mean, I guess like I can't say for every single thing, but like with like if it feels too comfortable, if it fits too perfectly, if it's, this fairy tale happy ending, that's probably like you're probably missing some things. You're not getting the whole
Seriously.
story. So stop like just taking things. And I say that as someone who I'm actively working on questioning things more
Mhm.
because I have just accepted things and just, oh, this is what it is. And, you know, things are so beautiful and whatever. And I just
Mhm.
take like, there's no reason that people wouldn't give me all the information or whatever, right?
Right.
Especially as a child, because children, like, again, unless you're experiencing these things, children just trust. And I mean, we should be able
Well,
to trust, but
what you're saying about children, they are sponges. They absorb everything, right? It's like
mhm,
if you speak to your children in some type of an accent for the first so many years of their lives, and then all of a sudden you speak your normal accent, like they would have never known because that's
mhm,
all they know. That's why when
mhm.
people are like so sheltered, like it's literally called being like living under a rock because that is all you know.
Yeah,
So just educate everyone. Everyone get
100%.
educated.
Do it.
Okay, sorry.
We literally have
The
like
internet.
endless information at the tip of our fingers,
Mhm.
at our
But just
fingertips. So that's
remember,
I
just
say that
because
wrong.
you Google it and it's the top search doesn't mean it's real.
100%. And also, like we talked about in the last episode, or maybe the one before, I don't remember. ChatGPT also is not giving you 100% correct information too. Like, I will say it
Okay.
is ChatGPT, obviously we talk about like we use it a good amount. It is very nice to ask questions there and not have to like go through all of these websites and read all of these things like yourself, right? But I mean, again, like you're just taking the first thing that you're getting out there, right? So do your own research. There's the
Love it.
internet, there's books, there's
Mm-hmm.
honestly there I mean MLK, a lot of the stuff that he did was in the 70s, 60s and 70s, which is not that long ago at all.
Mhm.
There are still people alive that have lived through that, and not that we need to go out and interview everyone, but what I'm saying is you have multiple resources available to be able to
Mhm.
educate yourself and understand these things. And
Absolutely.
also saying that to us too. We're going to dive in. Um, yeah, a lot of the reasons that, I mean, again, like you said, that not all this information was taught is to keep people, well, I guess to keep certain people comfortable, and to not critique. Well, I'm like we said, a lot of these things are still happening. So showing everything would show the critiques of the US system, the challenging of authority, and I mean, again, creating discomfort, right? Um, we are going to talk through some of the things that he did that we weren't taught. So the more radical his message became, the more dangerous he was considered. He explicitly named economic injustice as a moral failure. He supported labor unions, fair wages, guaranteed income. He said that America had socialism for the rich and rugged individualism for the poor. Um, so he was so he had a speech on the Vietnam War opposition, and this was in 1967. In this, sorry, have I had written
Can I
down
speak to
different
something
notes?
real quick?
Yes, please.
So, just to reemphasize what you were saying, the the Martin Luther King Jr. that we grew up with, grew up with,
Hmm.
was a man of love and light. Was a man who just wanted people to be equal based on race. That's it. I didn't know until I was a grown ass adult that he was not that he criticized capitalism at all. I had no
Hmm.
idea that that was a thing until I was an adult. And I had no idea that he was in opposition of the Vietnam War. Because how would I know that? I learned about Martin Luther King in school, and he was a man of loving kindness and loved everyone and loved everything. And just wanted everyone else to love each other and be
Hmm.
treated equally.
Yep.
He was not an angry man,
So
he was a soft man.
peaceful and
He was so
loving. Yep.
peaceful.
Hmm.
Ugh. But yeah, no, he had more depth than I ever realized, which is
Hmm.
shitty on my part, which was a failure on my part until I started learning more.
Well, and it's like to a point. Yeah, I mean, I think I've already said it's just sad how much it's controlled and sanitized and whatever that they're teaching us. Like we should know the full history. We should know, yeah, we should know these things. We shouldn't have
Mhm.
to. I mean, I guess to a point, like we should always, no matter what you're being taught, like you should, educate yourself and make sure that you have the whole thing. But yeah, I mean, there is a lot. Like there's a lot that we didn't know, And
Exactly.
I'm sure that there's, people listening. Maybe y'all don't know the things that we're talking through. So
Yeah.
it's ridiculous what it
Yeah.
is. It is Catawampus, just plain wrong.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Oh,
Okay,
yes.
you were talking about the Vietnam War and his speech
Yes.
against it, in
Yes.
opposition of it.
So
Yeah.
he, and I also didn't realize, I don't know if you knew, but I guess I don't know. I thought he was just a person like, I don't know. I was gonna say like politically, like he was involved somewhat politically. But I also didn't really know much about politics, and I'm learning as I'm getting older. But anyway, the reason I'm saying that is because I didn't know the reason that he was like coming out and speaking out so much, is he was a minister, and oh man, I'm so unorganized with my notes. I have so many notes. Um, I'm just gonna try to speak from what I was reading. He was a minister and was involved with multiple other like religious organizations and um activists and supporting, I mean, human rights and racial equality. And so doing work in like multiple areas going across like different states and stuff like that's how he came up. And anyway, I didn't know that. But as a minister, he felt a moral and spiritual obligation to speak up against certain things like the Vietnam War. He saw the war destroying the same communities that he was trying to help. He emphasized that poor Americans, especially Black men, were disproportionately sent to fight and die, and resources that were needed for anti-poverty programs were being diverted to war spending. So the war was ultimately an enemy of the poor. Um, he rejects the idea that the US was a neutral or benevolent force in Vietnam. He describes the history of the US involvement in supporting colonial powers, criticizing the destruction of Vietnamese villages and civilian deaths, and emphasizes that Vietnamese people were not the enemy. And most controversially, he stated the United States is the greatest purveyor of violence in the world today. With this, the things that he was saying, I guess I also don't know if you know this. I mean, there's a couple other things that like he called out in there, but ultimately, like coming out and speaking out about these things, he lost a lot of support and became super unpopular. He had media outlets speaking against him. He had political allies stepping back. He even had activist groups stepping back because I don't know specifically. Something I read was because they were afraid of like losing funding and support, but a lot of people stepped back after he came out and spoke his truth
Yeah,
about
well,
that.
he was living like this was during Jim Crow law or era. So everything was segregated.
Hmm.
Everything had to be because of that law, like those laws that were in place. And so like it's shitty, but like being devil's advocate over here, like I can see why a lot of people did step away living in that time
Hmm.
because how scary is that? Because the forces Martin Luther King Jr. was going against was not just going after those actively fighting with him. They were going over the families. They were going after the families, after the children, after the people who had nothing to do with any of it, right?
Hmm.
And that's so shitty, but classic Sorry, guys, but classic white people, like
100%.
the cheap shots, let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go back. Go. Go.
Okay. Um, yeah, it's well, and this is, I mean, to your point of like that's scary and that's like it's showing so many things. Like this is why we weren't taught about this. Um, it just points out things that, I mean, like we said, unfortunately are still real today. Um, but he, despite all of this, despite people stepping back and not supporting him as much and, distancing in whatever way they did, he never retracted or softened his position. He stood strong in it. And I mean, that speaks volumes.
It really does.
Um, this directly led into his work on the Poor People's Campaign. And it also showed that his opposition to the war was rooted in ethics, not politics. Like everything that he was doing was rooted in ethics.
Mhm.
Um, and the Poor People's Campaign, and it was so the Poor People's Campaign, I think it only went on for a year. Unfortunately, after his assassination, it wasn't something that continued. So it was from 1967 to 1968. It was a multiracial campaign focused on poverty, not just race. It included Black Americans, white Appalachians, Latino communities, and indigenous peoples. The goal was to pressure the federal government to address systemic poverty. The campaign called for guaranteed income or living wage, full employment, decent housing, access to education, food security, and healthcare. He believed that poverty was structural, not the result of individual failure, which unfortunately, this all still rings very true.
Mhm.
With what he was doing, he challenged capitalism and economic inequality. He was asking the government to redistribute resources. Um, and he was, when he died, he was or what was happening when he died, he was in Memphis supporting sanitation workers on strike. They were demanding fair wages and humane working conditions. And the campaign continued briefly after his assassination. Protesters set up Resurrection City on the National Mall, but without his leadership, momentum faded, and many of the demands were never implemented. It's stated to be one of the most radical projects of his life. This and obviously what he came out with on the Vietnam War positioned him as a threat to political and economic power structures.
And because he was seen as a threat, imagine how many threats he got and still stayed true to what he was doing
Mm-hmm.
and under constant surveillance because he was deemed such a threat. And all of the backlash that he got, probably from his loved ones and people he was fighting for,
Mm-hmm.
like, ugh.
Yep. Yeah. I don't remember where I read it, but I did read that he unfortunately got a lot of threats. I actually in the letter from Birmingham, he states, because the letter is a response, and I didn't read exactly like um what it was that he was responding to, but he states in there like I am taking my time to respond to this one, but if I took my time to respond to every message and threat and things that I got, I wouldn't have time to do anything else. My secretaries would literally just be sending mail. Yeah, but all of this, like, it
Can we back up for a second?
Mhm.
Can you say again what movement he was working with when he was assassinated?
The Poor People's Campaign.
But what was the actual like thing that he was doing?
Oh, he was supporting sanitation workers on strike. Is that what you mean?
Mm-hmm. I just want those listening to actually like let that sink in. This man, this human being, was supporting sanitation workers because they were not being treated fairly.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane to me.
It is. I mean, all of it.
I mean, absolutely, the whole shebang is just catawampus altogether. But like,
Catawampus, yes. 100%. Um, yeah.
I think it's very important to like, and you might be about to say this, so if I step on your toes, you're welcome. So when he was assassinated, we need to remember it was not because everybody loved him. It was not because he got too popular for people. He was assassinated because he challenged power. That's it. And this is going
Mm-hmm.
to sound very immature probably. But this man gave his life. His life was taken from him because people were having a pissing contest because of this stupid greed. Are you fucking kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
And like it enrages me, right? What the fuck do you guys think is happening right now?
100%.
Like people are dying left and right because they are challenging the powers that are.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of, oh, I think I'm getting ahead of myself. I need to calm down. Go ahead. Take back the mic, please.
Okay. I mean, we love hearing what you have to say, but if you feel like it's not right,
Not yet. Not yet,
okay.
because I know that you had talked about a few things that you're gonna point out, and this will come
Okay.
back later. Don't worry, I'm not done.
Okay. Cool. Cool, cool. Um, yeah, I mean, to what you're saying, like, he gave his life. He, like we touched on, death threats were frequent. Like, he knew that he was likely to be killed. He was, I mean, he was seen as a threat, right? He was constantly surveyed and not surveyed, had constant surveillance and things. But he still moved forward with it because he knew that what he was doing was right. Um, a big thing that he said is, all right, so speaking on um, the white moderate, I wanted to read a section from the letter from Birmingham, which again, if you don't know the letter from Birmingham, he was writing and he was responding to a statement calling his activities unwise and untimely. And this was in regards to a peaceful protest um, where protesting the segregation and businesses that had the segregation signs out ultimately because there was an agreement. I think it was law, but there was ultimately an agreement that that would not be a thing anymore, and
Mhm.
like there was specific business owners that were supposed to take those down, and they came down for a very short period of time, but then they went back up. So um, he talks a lot in here about how we because specifically, again, it calls out, they called his actions unwise and untimely. And he talks a lot about the timing of things and how they waited and they waited and they waited and they tried to negotiate and they tried to talk and nothing came of that. So they did a peaceful protest, which again was non-violent. Doesn't mean it's comfortable or not confrontational, but they were not violent. Anyway, in here, he calls out the white moderate, and I wanted to read a section of this.
Please do.
I must make two honest confessions to you, my Christian and Jewish brothers. First, I must confess that over the past few years, I have been gravely disappointed with the white moderate. I've almost reached the regrettable conclusion that the Negro's greatest stumbling block in his stride towards freedom is not the white citizens' counselor or the Ku Klux Klanner, but the white moderate, who is more devoted to order than to justice, who prefers a negative peace, which is the absence of tension, to a positive peace, which is the presence of justice, who constantly says, I agree with you in the goal you seek, but I cannot agree with your methods of direct action, who paternalistically believes he can set the timetable for another man's freedom, who lives by a mythical concept of time, and who constantly advises the Negro to wait for a more convenient season. Shallow understanding from people of goodwill is more frustrating than absolute misunderstanding from people of ill will. Lukewarm acceptance is much more bewildering than outright rejection. I had hoped that the white moderate would understand that law and order exist for the purpose of establishing justice, and that when they fail in this purpose, they become the dangerously structured dams that block the flow of social progress. I had hoped that the white moderates would understand that the present tension in the South is a necessary phase of the transition from an obnoxious negative peace, in which the Negro passively accepted his unjust plight, to a substantive and positive peace, in which all men will respect the dignity and worth of human personality. Actually, we who engage in nonviolent direct action are not the creators of tension. We merely bring to the surface the hidden tension that is already alive. We bring it out in the open, where it can be seen and dealt with, like a boil that can never be cured so long as it is covered up, but must be opened with all its ugliness to the natural medicines of air and light. Injustice must be exposed, with all the tension its exposure creates, to the light of human conscience and the air of national opinion before it can be cured. Jesus. Uh-huh.
Jesus. Jesus
Uh,
Christ. Holy cannoli.
uh-huh.
Are you for real right now?
Yup. Yeah. I know we had, yeah, I mean, we've talked about this before with Glennon Doyle calling this out
Hmm.
and just speaking about how, I mean, I think realistically, a lot of us are white moderates, and it really is so dangerous, and we need to not be. And this just really calls that out.
Yeah. Um, hold on one second. So I actually want to speak to that because you know me and um Glennon is like, I swear Untamed is
Your
like
higher
a
power.
she
A
she
Bible.
is for she yeah. I have no shame with that one.
Good, as you should
Okay.
not. Okay.
Okay, so yes, Glennon, because you know Glennon is my higher power. If you're ever listening to this, not in a weird way,
Oh, I can tell what you're saying, but you cut out.
not again. Have an app.
There you go. Yeah.
Glennon, Doyle, if you ever hear this, I'm not a freak, I promise. Well,
Ah, that's up
oh
for
well.
debate. We all are,
Yeah,
though.
we
It's
all
okay.
are. But like not in like a creepy way, but like a
Yeah.
you would have so much meaning in my soul. So thank
Mhm.
you.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to read a passage from Untamed because that is my Bible from the
Yes.
chapter called Racist because she talks about this.
Mhm.
So, um, uh, uh, um, she was okay. So being part of the white moderate, I don't think enough of us realize that we're part of the problem. Like
Mhm.
that we are the white moderate, right? People don't realize that they're part of the problem. They think that they're part of the solution because they're so Switzerland, like they're so like neutral.
Mhm.
Nothing against you, Switzerland. We love you. Just a term. Like we're just like you're just super neutral.
Mhm.
You're not here to create waves. Um so in this chapter she is talking about how she has taken her girls and they were she said um uh, uh, um soon after that conversation with my friend, I sat on my family room couch and patted a spot to my left and one to my right. I said to my daughters, "Come here, girls." They sat down and looked up at me. I told them that while they were asleep, a man who was white had walked into a church and shot and killed 9 people who were black. Then I told my daughters about a black boy, their brother's age, who was walking home and was chased down and murdered. I told them that the killer said that he thought the boy had a gun, but what the boy really had was a bag of Skittles. Amma said, why did that man think Trayvon's candy was a gun? I said, I don't think he really did. I think he just needed an excuse to kill. We sat with all we sat with all of this for a while. They asked more questions. I did my best. Then I decided that we had talked about villains for long enough and decided to talk about the heroes, or we needed to talk about heroes. I went to my office to find a particular book. I pulled it down from the shelf, came back to the couch, and sat between them again. I opened the book and we read about Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, John Lewis, Fannie Lou Hamer, Diane Nash, and Daisy Bates. We looked at pictures of civil rights marches and we talked about why people march. Someone once said that marching is praying with your feet, I told them. Emma pointed to a white woman holding a sign marching in a sea of black and brown people. Her eyes popped and she said, "Mama, look. Would we have been marching with them, like her?" I fixed my mouth to say, of course we would have, baby. But before I could say it, Tish said, "No, Emma, we wouldn't have been marching with them back then. I mean, we're not marching now." And how shitty is that? That a kid can see that. And like, granted, this is a few years old and she's not so much a kid anymore, and they do so much good. But
Mhm.
like, the point
But
of that
still.
passage is if you're not angry enough and you are not doing something at this point, you are the white moderate and you are the problem.
Mhm.
Get angry and let's make a change
Yeah.
because this is not it.
Mm-mm. Don't be sorry.
I was gonna get a lot more out, but I can't. I can't because I will start crying.
That's, yeah,
Ah, anger
that's okay.
tears, not sad tears. Anger tears.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. But yes, so this is a challenge to all the white moderates out there. Don't be anymore. Let's do
Yeah.
stuff. Let's make a change, make a difference.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. And with that, again, educate yourself, understand all these things, right?
Hmm.
Because what we originally were talking about, that we're getting the sanitized version, um, and why this matters is, I mean, we need to know all of it. We need to move forward with it because, again, like we've said multiple times, this is not just history. It is unfortunately still very much our present. Um, a lot of the things, the quotes and the words, and even the speech that are used from MLK when celebrating him, um, and I say that
Loosely.
lightly, I guess,
Hmm.
loosely, thank you. Um, it's often used as a tool to silence modern resistance. It is used to shame protesters and dismiss anger, to demand politeness from the oppressed. Because again, like you had said, the way that he is presented to us is such a polite, loving man. And not to say that he was not, but he wasn't out there to be polite. He was standing up for injustice.
He was
Um,
angry.
he was angry. Yes.
Everyone was angry, and they were verbalizing their anger, and that's okay to do.
Mm-hmm.
When social
100%.
injustice like this happens, as it's happening around us now, as it happened then, being angry is really the only like real response,
Uh-huh.
if you ask me. If you ask me, it's it's authentic. It's real.
Mm-hmm.
It's not
It
sugar-coated.
gets
It's
people to
not.
do stuff.
Yeah, it is the motivator.
Uh-huh.
Mm. Mm, mm, mm. Anger.
Mm-mm-mm.
There is a time and a
Anger.
place for anger.
Honestly, though, like there's so many, and this is like, this is overall right now, not just to like what we're speaking, but there's, for those of you that are on social media, I guess everyone's on their own side. Videos that I am seeing on TikTok is there are a lot of creators actually that are using their platform, which is great, and speaking up about their anger and saying, like, we all need to get more angry. Like, we need to be angry. Everything that's happening should be just angering everyone. And, but again, it's, we don't have the anger. So I think part of this is anger doesn't equal violence. And that's ways that this has been posed, right? Is nonviolence is passivity. Nonviolence is silence. Nonviolence is
Hmm.
obedience. And that's
Nonviolence is sitting on a
nonviolence.
lawn, holding hands,
Uh-huh.
singing "Kumbaya."
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, it's great. It's a good time. Love
Yeah.
those, but
But it's not.
it's not getting anything done.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to be angry at a protest. It is not okay to incite violence. Big difference. Be angry.
100%.
Be heard. Keep your fucking hands to yourself.
Yep. Yep. And yeah, prepare yourself for, like, if like peaceful protests, um, they are peaceful because they're non-violent. Again, even peaceful doesn't mean not angry. You are there protesting for a reason. You have passion for this, but that doesn't mean that we need to get violent. And understanding that if the opposing party or people do get violent, still doesn't make it okay for us to, not us, but anyone, to retaliate back and be violent back. Because that is the whole thing of peaceful protesting and nonviolence, right? Is maintaining that. And I know that specifically with the nonviolent sit-in that MLK did, those individuals literally trained for this. Like I don't know, I have heard it in the past, but I can't quote it all right now, but I know that like they went through some pretty intense things of like having violence happen to them and just sitting there and helping themselves to sit there and not react and not be violent back. So anyway, again, nonviolence doesn't mean that you can't be angry. It just means that we're not out there physically hurting people.
Do you remember back when the Black Lives Matter movement happened?
Mm-hmm.
They were doing peaceful protests at the Capitol, and people were so angry and inciting violence against those of color. And there were some, not all, not enough, absolutely not enough white folks there, but some that physically became a peaceful barrier between police or those trying to be violent against those protesters. And that is so beautiful.
That is beautiful.
And it's like, granted, today we don't have that luxury. A lot of the time, we don't have access to or the luxury of, not saying it was a luxury to have to go through that training,
Yeah.
but it is something conscious in your mind that you can say, fuck it, let's do this and
Mm-hmm.
get in the way of something to protect other people,
Yeah.
protect humanity.
Yep. Bigger than just us.
Mm-hmm. Go
Yep.
on, go on.
Um, MLK said nonviolent resistance is not a method for cowards. If nonviolence, and this isn't quoting him, but if nonviolence is only acceptable when it doesn't disrupt anything, then it's not nonviolence. It's compliance.
Mm-hmm.
Compliance is comfort for those in power. Um, yeah.
Absolutely.
People love quoting MLK until you apply his words to current injustice.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, all
They're
right.
good.
So this last segment, what radical love actually means. MLK's love ethic was demanding, confrontational, and transformative. Love is confronting systems, refusing to dehumanize even while resisting, and showing up again and again. He stated, love is the only force capable of transforming an enemy into a friend. It is accountability, not silence. It tells the truth. It names the harm. It doesn't prioritize comfort over justice. Radical love doesn't avoid conflict. It tells the truth in a way that makes healing possible. MLK warned against the white moderate, as we spoke to, more devoted to order than to justice. And love helps us move outside of that, right? Love is also not being passive and not being quiet. Love helps us to grow, and when you grow, you are often uncomfortable, right? And discomfort is the first sign of change.
That's why I always say, like, growth doesn't come from a comfort zone. It really doesn't. You have to get out of
100%.
your comfort zone to experience, to live,
Uh-huh.
to create. Otherwise, you are stagnant. I
Yep.
love what you said about how love is accountability, not silence. Because the moment that we recognize that whether we believe it or we thought or whatever, that there is some type of injustice that we have become compliant with, the
Mhm.
sooner, like once we start feeling that discomfort, we can grow from it. We can
Mhm.
grow and we can change it and we can love it out of ourselves. And that is so powerful. And I also want to say how much I love that you put that or said that like love is more than just like being polite, that it's an action because there are two very different loves. There's love the feeling and then there's love the action. You can show up and show someone you love them,
Mhm.
or you can just like feel the love vibes, right?
Mhm.
And it's like I feel love for so many people, but I'm not showing up for them. So I have love for them, but I'm not actively loving them. And that is a very big difference, especially when we are talking about radical injustices and things like current injustice and all of that stuff. It's the same as like, "Oh, I'll pray for you," or sending
Mhm.
prayers, like thoughts and prayers and all of that bullshit. That's that's
Yep.
decorative. That can fuck off.
Mhm.
The only love I want and need that people need right now is love as an action. We need to show up for each other.
I love that call out. That's important because it absolutely is a feeling and action.
Thoughts and
Love that.
prayers.
Thoughts and
Thoughts.
prayers. We can do more than thoughts and prayers.
We can make a change.
Yes, we can.
Ugh.
So, yeah, I think that actually kind of wraps up what I'm wanting to speak to. I mean, two closing things, but before I do, is there anything else that you would like to say or add or
I just want to reiterate how important it is that, especially in this day and age, like I don't care how old you are. You could be 99 years old listening to it. Why? I don't know, but that'd be really cool. But like learn or teaching an old dog new tricks isn't real. You become complacent at that point. So get out of your complacency and educate yourself and become a better person. Become a better person, become a more compassionate human and help make the change. Help be the change. Because it's not going to just take one, it's going to take all of us. So let's do it.
Mhm. 100%. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Worded so beautifully. No, I love it. And that ties into these last things that I wanted to share.
Does it
Um
really? You're welcome. Great
yes.
minds, ma'am. Great minds.
Dr. King didn't ask us to admire him. He wasn't doing all of this to be liked, right? He asked us to continue the work, even when it costs us our comfort. So, like you're saying, step out of your comfort zone. It doesn't matter your age, it doesn't matter where you are or like it, none of that. We can all step out and do more. MLK isn't about reposting a quote once a year with a picture, right? It's about asking who we're willing to make uncomfortable in the pursuit of justice and whether we're brave enough to be included in that.
I love it. Yes. That's so true. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yes. So,
Because
I
not
mean,
everyone's going to be comfortable change because
yep.
because a lot of people right now are thriving on the injustices, like the injustices that are happening.
Mm-hmm.
Even people who don't realize that that's exactly like directly related to it, if they're
Yep.
thriving in this environment, like that's not like they're not going to be thrilled with the discomfort of the change.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay for some people to not be comfortable during this. Because change needs to happen.
1,000,000%.
Because discomfort has to happen in order to correct what everyone has become complacent with.
Yep.
Mm,
Absolutely.
And keep it,
Mm-mm.
remember, another thing to remember since you had, sorry, I wrote it down. It was whether we're brave enough to be included in that change. Remember that being brave isn't necessarily being afraid and doing it anyways. Being brave is listening to your knowing. It's listening to yourself between what is right and what is wrong and knowing and going with that, whether or not you're
Yes.
afraid. Because fear is a secondary emotion.
Yes.
So
I love
move
that call
through
out.
that secondary emotion and get to the root and use that as motivation.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing, like, understand your knowing, like you're saying, listen to what you know is right and what you're feeling, your intuition. Like, I don't know. I mean, obviously not everyone is ever going to agree on everything, but I'm just saying, even if you're comfortable and things are good for you, that's great. But like, look outside of yourself. Look at other individuals. We are all human beings. We all deserve to, I mean, have a place of comfort, right? Some people don't
Hmm.
even have comfort to step outside of.
Hmm.
So those of us that are in areas of comfort, we definitely need to step out and do more, show up, get angry, be peaceful and
Exactly.
nonviolent, but be angry.
Yeah.
I was watching on oh my God. I want to say Jimmy Fallon. Anyway, I was watching a show, talk show. Um and I don't even remember the name of the person that he had on there. Um he's I don't know, a profound person. I think her name is Rachel. That's all I know. Anyway, she said something about once you have 3.5% of the population protesting something, and now that I'm saying this, I don't even have it fully, but protesting and like standing up, that it's at that point, but basically unstoppable. Like you're not going to ever get the full population if you have at least that. And she said we are, if not at that, almost at that with like all of the active protests and stuff that we have going on right now.
I love that.
Yeah, I
I'm
thought that
proud.
was
I'm
cool.
proud of that. That's awesome.
Mhm.
I would like to correct myself. Fear itself is a primary emotion. The secondary is like the anxiety, the guilt, the shame, all of that stuff that goes with it. So as I said, like fear is a secondary emotion. It's not. That's my bad. But like get down to the root cause and figure out what type of fear is it. So
That's fair. Inside
I'm
Out,
not perfect.
fear was one of the base ones.
Mm-hmm. My bad. My bad, Kay.
Hey, good
Here we
call out,
are.
though. Good correcting
Yeah.
yourself. That's what matters.
Yeah. Accountability, motherfuckers. It's not hard to do.
Yes, exactly. Sometimes it's uncomfortable to admit that you said something that
It's
was not right, but it's okay.
seriously.
We grow in places of discomfort.
Yeah. See, did you see how much I grew just then? What a catawampus world we live in.
Oh, seriously, though.
Okay, so that's a wrap on this week's episode.
We we
Sorry.
hope you had as much, I don't know what I
Fun
want to
as
say,
we did.
fun this time.
Well, I
We
hope it
hope
was
that
as
you had some,
enlightening.
yes. We hope it was enlightening. Hopefully you had some realizations or, I mean, are already out there doing the things. But yeah, I mean, we hope that stayed with us the whole time. We appreciate y'all being here with us. Don't forget to give us a review and comment your favorite moments. Definitely comment your biggest takeaway from this conversation, um, things that you're going to be doing moving forward, moving through, moving out of our areas of comfort or I mean, even something that you learned today. And be sure to share with your friends and family. And again, we're not forcing things, so only send us the ways of people that align.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And don't forget to follow us on social media. We are making it a point to post at least like once a week at this point. So keep your eyes out for things from us.
All right. Until next time, keep embracing
Well,
the madness.
yeah, and we're gonna see you.
Next Tuesday.
Bow, bow, bow.
Bye.
Bye.